Making a perfect result is easy. You just don't know the strategy. I'm tired of people coming on this app and telling you you need to follow this particular zodiac strategy or you need to power my course before you make something good out of your result. I'm promising you it's actually not that difficult. And as a first class mechanical engineering student, I have gone through a series of semesters that have taught me various ways that you can actually just make your result. And what am I going to do in this video? I'm going to just simply take you through the whole process, or like from beginning of the semester to the end of the semester, and just tell you exactly what it takes to actually make that perfect result that you've been trying to make. No fluff, no additional work, no course, no this or that. Just pure strategy that will actually help you to get that perfect result that you're actually going to get. So anyways, let's get into it. So let's start from prior to your semester, right? Those holiday seasons that seem like they're not very, very important. That song Hamilton, I wanna be in the room where it happens, the room where it happens, the room where it happens. This is the room where it happens. That point during the holiday, like a lot of things happen during the holiday season, especially personally, I can speak as an academic weapon, like, hey, there are things you do during that holiday that when you come back to school like this, people will not even be able to smell your tracks. That holiday season is very, very important, not just for understanding what is going on in your particular courses, but for focusing down on the courses that that you might just be having issues with. So don't downplay on your holiday seasons or think that they are not important. I hear people always making jokes about how oh, they plan to study during the holiday, they later did not study during the holiday. It's not funny. It's not funny, guys. It's actually not funny. Take your holidays time, very, very important, and make out the time to actually make your academics happen. A lot of things go down during the holiday season. A lot of things go down. That semester whereby even before that holiday season, maybe let's say the test one period, I was not really bringing my A game, but by the time I went home and like this and faced my book squarely, by the time I came back, hey, things had gone down. So focus very, very much on your holiday seasons and make out the time and within the time and make use of every opportunity you have during your holiday to actually put in the work towards your academics. So the next thing that you see is your pre-test period. And one thing that you should focus on during this time is lots of reading. During this time, a lot of people keep feeling like, oh, there's time, and then they don't end up reading and they don't end up getting the results that they want simply because they don't focus on this particular point. Even if it's 30 minutes a day, my god, if you show up during this your pre-test period, I'm not talking about pre-test like 1 week, 2 days, I'm talking about like 4 weeks to test, 5 weeks to test. So showing up, you're reading, you're understanding, sometimes you might even be reading ahead. And some of you guys now are thinking like, wow, this is a lot of work. Of course it's a lot of work. Anything that is worth doing takes a lot of work. What do you think that people that have the result, they just have it easily? You have to do the work. So that pre-test period is just very, very important, for understanding what's going on in the course, helping you to engage in active recall and helping you to truly actually remember and understand the things you're reading, because the way you will read before a test and the way you would read when they are not really under any pressure is going to be very, very different. It's very, very important for just truly understanding the thing and then remembering it during your test. So the next period of time that actually makes you have that best result is your test period. Oh god, this period there are two things that you should be focusing on, and that's number one, focusing on actual possible questions that can be coming out. Before this time, during the pre-test period, like, we're doing lots of reading, lots of generalistic reading, lots of voluminous reading, right? But during this time, what you should be focusing on are things that can actually come out during your test. So there's the way I was reading right before my test period, but when you go to my test period, the way I was reading dramatically changed. And that also brings me to the second point that is very, very important during your test period, and that is integrating great study techniques, not average study techniques, not rereading notes and all those stuff that are just simply passive learning, but writing down mnemonics beside the things that you want to read, reading them and rereading them and trying to write them again from your memory, which is what they call that, bulletin, to actually truly know that you've understood and remembered what you're reading. Because what they're testing you in your test period is not how well you can read the course, it's how well you can recall it. And so when you're reading, you should not just reading the thing but actually practicing recalling the topic, because that's what they're testing you on. in your test ground. And that's why a lot of you, when you get to the exam hall, you can't remember shit, because when you were reading, you were just reading and consuming, but you did not practice actually writing out the thing and how you write it out during your test. So when you're reading, don't just practice, reading the notes. Practice actually writing out the thing, so that you can actually ensure that during your test you can effectively recall what you're reading, and then you can also understand how much of this thing do I recall and how much of this thing have I truly understood. And if you're liking this video so far, guy, what are you waiting for? Like this video, Jerry, and send it to somebody else that you know that will actually benefit from this video. These videos take a lot more than you guys know to actually make, and I would be really happy if somebody else can benefit academically from this video because you liked it, and because of that YouTube actually pushed this video out. So thank you very much for investing in the academic life of somebody else that you don't know. So yeah, let's continue on this video. So the next point is your pre-test 2 period. 2 very important things happen during this period, and if you don't pay attention to them, this might be the reason why your academics might just be slipping off. And you can see me, I'm talking a whole lot about this test like as if it's do or die, but there's something I said in the Perfect Gpa playbook, and this contains my 2 years of experience as a study YouTuber along with other study techniques that I would have always loved to talk about, but because of the constraint of time on YouTube, I don't always have the opportunity to talk about them. So lots of great things are inside that book, so be sure to get that. So back to what I was saying, right? So in that book I described your test like the sole of your shoe. So when you're walking on the road, nobody's looking at the sole of your shoe like, wow, the sole of your shoe is beautiful or something like that. But I can promise you, if your shoe does not have a sole, or your sole is very yama like one shoe like that I have, I'm tempted to bring the shoe to show you guys. The sole of my shoe. Underneath there's a hole or something, but like if the sole of your shoe is not very stable or very firm, the way it's going to really affect the way that you walk. It's going to really affect the way that you move around, and it's just the same thing with your test, right? So nobody is really seeing your test score, right? And it seems like a very small detail, like just like the sole. But if your test scores are not very solid, the way you'll be reading for your exams and the way you'll be moving during your exam period, you'll be looking like somebody that all the forces in their village are attacking them. You won't be calm, you won't be composed, and that's why you should work very hard for your test scores, so that during your exam period, the way you go balance. You understand? Have you ever seen somebody that has 30/30 reading for test? Hey, you just know that this one is not stressed. I've been there before, you understand? So I'm telling you from experience, I've been the person that has 30 before, and I've been the person that has 12/30. Hey, oh, the two people are not the same. So focus very much on ensuring that your test scores, are very, good. So that first point, for your test 2 period is focusing more on reading, and the second point for your test 2 period is focusing on the comeback. If your test 1 was not good, this your test 2 is a very good time, to actually have a very good comeback. This is both for the pre-test 2 period and the test 2 period, right? So just focus much more on reading and actually focus much more on having the academic comeback, because these 2 things are very important, and they will actually help you to get better grades as well. So this next point is your pre-exam period, and once again in the Perfect Gpa playbook I describe this as 2 weeks to your exam. And what I love about the pre-exam period is that in the pre-exam period anybody can make it. Like even if you are unserious throughout your whole semester, I can promise you, bet with me and you can see, if you can focus 2 weeks to your exam, you can beat even the person that was reading from the beginning, because we're going to use that 2 weeks to exam to do very important things. We're going to use that 2 weeks to exam to evaluate all your courses, understand which ones you really understand them based on like, oh, see my test score, how good is my test score, how well do I understand this course and all that, and then you start making actions in alignment with that data that you now have. This is something I've always done right from secondary school. And for those that have been wondering for years, oh, what was this girl doing? What's my secret? This will probably be part of my, let's say, top 3 most important things that I do in my academic life that have always helped me. Because the reason why sometimes you get to exam hall and it's like, what is going on? Because you did not truly evaluate what was going on in every single course. One thing that I always do, like I said, right from secondary school, guy, 2 weeks to that exam, I make sure that I read every single course before exam starts, so that by the time exam comes, the night before the exam, I'm actually focusing down on the course, and that leads me on to the next period, which is the exam period. So I'm going to be telling you 3 things that I wish I kind of knew earlier in my academic journey, in a way. I think I knew some of them, but I just think they're just good to share. You don't mind me. Anyways, so the first thing is Never read another course when you have another course the next day. Once it's the night of the course, lock it in. I used to be very, very proud when I was in like lower levels, right? So then I might be having a course the next day, and this like the night before the course, and I'll be there reading another course. Like, what are you trying to prove, guy? Once it's the night before the course, please lock in on the course that you're having that day. Because what actually changed my mindset on that was something that happened to me in my 300 level second semester, which was where I had my worst results. It was actually a 4 point something, but please don't judge me anyways. So the way I reshaped my mindset for it once I got to 400 level was that this is the last opportunity you ever have to read for that course. That's the new way to think about it. That's the last exam. And it can be your last exam if you lock in and give it the effort that it demands just for that time being. And I look back on my time, like, it was very, very foolish of me to be having another course and be reading another course. Like, this is the last time you're going to write this exam if you actually focus very, very well and read it and give it your all. Just have the A. Just do the work once and for all and make it make sense. So don't read other courses when you know you have another course. Please focus down your energy and do what is very, very important. So this next one is use your weekends to read wide. I know that you might be having a course on Monday, but if you ask me, the weekend even starts from Friday night. Hopefully you don't have exams on Saturdays, but sometimes you do share. But use your weekends to read wide. If you know that you have, like, let's say 3 or 4 courses during the week, especially if they are back to back, use your weekend to cover at least all of them to some extent, just at least to gamble around them, understand them, and see what's going on in each one of them, so that the night before the course you are not learning, you are simply just revising. You're cooked when you're the night before your exam, you're starting to learn things instead of revise them. I love this catchphrase, the more you cover, the more you discover. I've been there. It's not a good place to be, sincerely. So ensure that you use your weekends to just to brush over at least your courses, so that when you're reading for them the night before the course, especially if you're having back to back, right, at least you'll be revising and not actually learning the course from scratch. And if you actually followed my tip of reading all your courses 2 days before exam, you should not even be reading from scratch. So this last point is very, very, very important, and it was something I discovered later on in my journey as I became a study tuber, and that is, find out what the top students in your course are doing. Even Oga get Oga. No matter what stage I will get to, I will always find out what the top students in my course are doing. Like, oh, what are you guys reading? What's the strategy we're using? What are we doing? Like, how are we going about it? Because there are things that they will know that you surely not know. This is very important, especially for people that are not really engineering students or something like that watch my videos. There might be things that I might be saying sometimes that might not apply to you, but there are strategies that your top students in your course will know that will actually help you in your exam. So why not just go and ask them? In my last video where I interviewed the top students, the person said that, oh, they used to be very, very proud to go and ask people, for questions and all that kind of thing. But see, when it comes to university, you need to put your pride aside, ask people what they are doing, strategies they are implying to actually ensure that actually doing very, very well, in their courses. So yeah, each season of your semester has its own study techniques and its own things to focus on. So don't just go throughout the semester, living your life anyhow, because each specific season has important things that you need to focus on. Check out this video here where I tell you actually how to study smarter and not harder, so that you can actually do better in your academics. If you enjoyed this video, please comment what was your favorite point, and I'll be there down there in the comments, reading them. And please just comment, because when you comment and when you like this video, we push out to more students, help more people to actually do well academically. Please subscribe, guys, please subscribe, so that we can build a bigger community of people that actually believe in academic excellence. Thank you very much. Love you guys, and I'll see you in another video.